Donald Trump and his DOJ are facing forceful resistance to their efforts to try to immediately deport, really more, kidnap migrants and send them to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. You'll recall a prior Supreme Court ruling required that there be some level of notice to the individuals who are set to be deported. I call it what it is, which is kidnapped and being sent to basically extermination camps in El Salvador. And the migrants have the right to a habeas petition. And the Trump administration, the Trump regime is trying to kind of wiggle out of that by doing these super quick deportations. But now the legal groups who are representing the migrants have really kind of figured out a counter strategy to how you counteract the Trump regime doing that. They have their form motions ready to go requesting class-wide injunctive relief, the class being whichever new group of individuals the Trump regime is set to send to El Salvador. Groups like the ACLU that are representing these migrants, they're pretty much ready to go now. These motions are pretty much already written because of the Supreme Court ruling, the Court of Appeals ruling. There's all these precedents on it in a very short period of time that's been developed. And so, one of the things that happened on Friday is that Trump appointed DOJ lawyer who's been before Boasberg before, who in separate proceedings is now facing criminal contempt possibilities because Boasberg found probable cause of criminal contempt. On Friday, when he had to go back in front of Boasberg, rather than give that same type of arrogant, we're not listening to you, said, okay, look, we promise you we're not going to do this in the next few days until they have the ability, these migrants, to file their habeas petition. So hold on there, Judge. There's no need for emergency relief at this point because we are not going to deport them or send them until there's a habeas petition. Now, what we've been seeing, though, as that's the move from the Trump regime, we know they don't operate in good faith. And the people representing the migrants basically say, we don't trust them anyway. So even where they're making those representations, we should still make sure that we set habeas hearings, do class certifications so that the process is allowed for these people, because who knows if the next day the Trump DOJ just changes its position and does another oopsies and then says these people are entitled to due process. That's really what Harry, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, I think, was pointing out as well when they rejected Trump's appeal of the Maryland Judge Zenas District Court order, where she was just saying, all right, follow the Supreme Court, facilitate, let me know the steps you're taking, let's do discovery. Trump appealed that. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals said, look, you're wrong, Donald. You lost in the Supreme Court. And then they gave this Judge Wilkinson, a Reagan-appointed judge, who said this. He goes, look, at the end of the day, you don't listen to us. You don't listen to the Supreme Court. You may think that's a win for you. You may think that that's, oh, you got us. But at the end of the day, you will not be viewed as legitimate. You will be viewed as lawless. And the respect that the branches should have, and I think here that the judiciary has for you, will be totally gone. I mean, I think it should be gone forever. But when you see it play out with even like the ACLU, like, okay, I understand they're making this representation, but they're the regime of oopsies. People are in the camp. Nothing we can do now. So we still got to hold their feet to the fire. But it's interesting, Harry, that on Friday, the Trump lawyer was like, all right, we promise you, Judge, we're not going to do it. They kind of backed down.
Yeah, they did kind of back down, and you wonder. So you made that interesting point about Wilkinson. That Wilkinson opinion is extraordinary. You've talked about it already, Ben, and the kind of figure that Wilkinson is in the conservative movement. All that is correct. But even more than that, he understood he was writing for multiple audiences. So there's this whole thing on the second page that's really directed to the people and the stakes involved. And then, just as you say, the very last part of the opinion is this direct, remarkable. You just don't see this in a judicial opinion, exhortation to the executive, saying exactly as you put it. This is really, you are really playing with fire. And then an almost kind of Lincoln-esque or something, if you will hope that you'll yet see the importance of the rule of law and our better natures will prevail, etc. So I think people, at least in legal circles, paid a lot of attention to it. Wow, this is what J. Harvey Wilkinson is saying. Now, it's funny because you never know exactly who's calling the shots within the Trump administration. But one thing about the contempt, it could run personally. The person who comes in and makes the false representation can actually be the one who finds himself with a criminal record. Now, Trump could pardon, but this is nothing, you want to mess with. I'm remembering now because I was at the Trump trial in New York that when the trial judge there finally, said to Trump, look, I don't want to do this, but I've got no choice left. I've told you 10 times, we're going with contempt next. Trump sat down and behaved. So, there may be a sense that really bringing out that red flag of contempt affects people. Now, will it affect the whole administration and cause them to actually, do what any other administration would do, which is obey lawful orders? Not sure, but you're standing up there for this administration, and you may be the one who's charged. I can imagine they're saying, let's take it easy, Judge. And for whatever reason, there's a lot brewing now, but for whatever reason, they made the call. We're not gonna fly him away after what they did the first time around with Boasberg. It would just be so mind-bending if they flagrantly lie to the Texas judge as well. So I think you're right overall. And we're also, by the way, one more thing we're seeing, Trump's getting a little skittish on the Abrego Garcia bit. He's saying, oh, well, that's for Pam. I don't really know, etc. So I think all in all, we are seeing maybe, given how brassy they've been about their supposed authority, we're seeing them get blink a bit. And, if that's the case going forward and stopping this rank lawless path, that'll be quite an escape that the country has made.
I think one of the big moments, we covered it and did multiple videos on it. I think I called it Trump throwing his own DOJ under the bus when Trump was asked about Abrego and Judge Boasberg's ruling finding in generally the administration, which I call the regime, in contempt and saying, give me a list of the people who were involved. When Trump was asked about this in the Oval Office, he said, I don't know anything about it. You'll have to ask the lawyers. They were the ones who did it. So now if you're a frontline DOJ lawyer like this, is it Ensign or Ensign? Is that the guy's name?
Ensign, I think. But he's a political type who's just come. Yeah.
He's one of the frontline Trump DOJ guys who was in front of Boasberg. If I'm Ensign, I hear Trump saying that and go, whoa, this guy actually does not have my back. And this judge is going to hold me in criminal contempt. And you're right. I mean, Donald Trump down the road may pardon me if there's a criminal finding, but wait a minute, a special counsel can be the one who prosecutes me. I may have to go through a whole trial where I'm going to be, go before this judge. I'm going to have to hire a lawyer. Is Trump going to hire the lawyer from, this is going to be a real ordeal that's going to impact my life. Is Trump going to pay the legal fees? Am I going to? No, he's not. He's going to throw you under the bus. So I think that, and I think someone like an Ensign, on Friday, emergency hearing, these people still have families and things to go to, and I think they're thinking like, we've seen where this Abrego went. We see the fight. We see people standing up. Is it worth the fight if you're someone like an Ensign or at that level to do this? I mean, are you going to destroy your own personal life, your own family life, all of this for what end? When you go, wait a minute, now Abrego's meeting with, Van Hollen and Trump's doing.
Right.
What am I doing? So I'll give you the last word, Harry.
Well, I'll just say this. Look, so the general point, you hear this all the time, today on cable, et cetera. Yeah, but the people aren't really caring about it. And the Stephen Millers of the world want to say, fine, well, we'll take it on and we'll say the Democrats are coddling immigrant killers or whatever. But the Wilkinson opinion and the fact that we're at the Supreme Court, I think it lands in a different way in the legal community. Guys like this, their career isn't done. They hope one day after Trump to have another job. What Wilkinson did, he's a big Federalist guy. He used to be the #1 conservative feeder along with J. Michael Ludig on that court. I think it really has tremors within the Washington legal community. So even if it's the case that politically they still want to be as, brassy and swashbuckling as ever, the people who really have to stand up in court and have to stand up, and have a resume in the future, I think it could be, hitting home and staying their bravery a little bit.
Yeah, Donald Trump would always attack the judges. Yeah. And, now when you are a lawyer being asked to attack, you're a right-wing lawyer and you're attacking Judge Wilkinson's ruling, to your point, Harry, and you have 20, 30 years, your only hope could be that there's no legal system because otherwise, if there is one, your reputation is shot. And so, I think
look what happened to Michael Cohen, right? Trump on the plane saying, "Oh, you ask him, he'll know." Didn't work out so well.
It's exactly, if people go back to what you and I were talking about even a few months ago when this all started, we were saying, well, what's the remedy? Is it financial? That doesn't make sense because it's our taxpayer dollars. What's the remedy? And we said it's the lawyers and the people who are aiding and abetting the case. If they're not being candid with the court, that's where the levers of accountability are going to be. And I think we're seeing that play out. Talking Feds YouTube, Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast. It's where I get all of my legal news from. Harry Litman hosts them all. Everybody subscribe to all of those after this video. Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.